things that Moses and the Apostle Paul had in common. What are a couple? What are some things that Moses and the Apostle Paul had in common? Who wants to? Anybody? Rosa?
They stuttered?
They had speech impediments? No. But that's a good guess. Well, we don't know that the Apostle Paul did. That might have been his thorn in the flesh, but we don't think it was. What are some of the things that they had in common? Yes. They were pretty stern. Okay. Yes.
They saw the Lord.
They saw the Lord. Okay. You know, anything else? Sheena Karpinski, what do you got to say? No idea. Yeah, they both at one point had no idea. That is not true. One of the cool things that, yes, Gabby, is that they were both Jewish. Correct. So right. But what I'm thinking is a little bit different. So one of the things that they had in common was this. Ready? They were both murderers. Yeah. They were both murderers. Now we know that Moses actually murdered somebody with his physical hands. And we know that the Apostle Paul was responsible for putting Christians in prison and persecuting them, and he condoned the murders of Christians. Like, they were murdered back then, and Paul was a big shot, and he condoned it. So I guess it's like you would be arrested now if, you know, it's not like he pulled the trigger, but you were driving the getaway car kind of a thing, right? So they were both murderers, okay? But they were both just utterly and completely crazy about Jesus, like radical followers of God. Their lives were transformed, and yet they you know, listen, man.
Ramsey murdered first.
Yeah. You know, what's that?
No.
Ramses, yeah. Okay, man. Charlton Heston, man. 10 Commandments, gotcha. So everybody has done things in their life that they're not proud of, and continue to do things in life that they're not proud of. And these guys were both murderers. So so one day, you know, in the book of Galatians, it was probably towards like the end of his life, right? Galatians chapter 2, verse number 20. Ready? I know. I'm going to impress you by how cool I am at memorizing my Bible, right? Galatians 2:20, you know, it's one of these famous verses, right? The Apostle Paul says this. He says, he wrote these words. He said, I have been crucified with Christ, and it is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who is living through me. The life I live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and delivered himself up for me. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious? Most of us, our lives are, we live our lives according to our circumstances or our feelings or the things that happen to us or our environment or everything, you know? Impulses, our temptations. Paul says, the life I live, it's defined by my faith. I've been crucified, and it's no longer me who live, but I live by faith. Everything is funneled through this faith and this desire to pursue and follow Jesus and put my faith and trust in him. And it's like, how is that possible? In 2020, in Trenton, New Jersey, or in Ewing, New Jersey, if you live in Ewing, or wherever. How is that possible to say, I've been crucified, it's not me, it's Jesus lives in and through me. The life I live by faith in the Son of God. Not by circumstances, not by feelings, not by desires, not by temptations. I live by faith. It directs my entire life. My actions, my impulses, my thoughts, my words, my reactions, my actions. It's like, what? He was a murderer. What happened to him? What happened to Moses that he was so transformed? So I'm going to read a verse in the Old Testament. It's from Deuteronomy chapter 5. Oh, God bless you, sir. So I'll preface this. Okay. The church over. Man, Mark sneezes. So I'm going to preface this saying this. Ready? So I used to go out. So I used to lead Bible studies in Esther Street, Amani House, at the shelters inside of the workhouse and stuff. So when I was at Escher Street once years ago, I met a guy named Woody who lived there. So Woody had one eye. He was kind of out of his mind a little bit. He was a double murderer, and well, at least he said he was. And but he was a character, right out there. So he was in his 60s or 70s, man, at this point. And I remember I used to take a group of them into Princeton. So we used to just go into Princeton, and we went to PJ's Pancake House. Who here has ever been to PJ's Pancake House in Princeton? It's pretty good pancakes.
They have
So
it in Ewing, too.
yeah. So we went to PJ's Pancake House, man, and one of the men I took, I'll never forget this. He ordered a stack of pancakes, man, with whipped cream and stuff, and he made a happy face, man, with the whipped cream, and he was so happy about that. Well, anyways, Woody. So after breakfast, we went to the churches there on the university, and if you ever walked around the university, you got these cathedrals that are like 350 years old that are absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. Hey, God bless you. Come on, sit down. Yes. Yeah. Sit right over here. Sit right over here. God bless you. So it's like, really? So it's like, okay, man, I lost my train of thought. Man, what was I saying? Pancakes, smiley face. So Woody, so I took him into the, old churches, like 300 years old, and I'll never forget. We walked through the door, and it's this, magnificent cathedrals that are hundreds of years old. You've seen it with stained glass, and it's magnificent. And he walks in, and he goes, "Oh my God. Oh my God." He's never seen that before. Yeah. And I used to take my kids there I take it, man, for granted. He was in such awe. He goes, "Oh my God," and he had to sit down. And he just looked around, Joe, and he's like, "Oh my word. Oh my word." And I'll never forget that. So I told him, so after that, I read a Bible story to him, and I'm going to read it to you really quick, right? So Moses is talking to God. He's getting he's getting the 10 Commandments and everything, and then the people see him up there, and he comes down, and the people go to Moses, goes, "We don't want to see God because we are going to perish." I'm paraphrasing, right? But you tell us what God said, and we will do everything He said. And then God jumps in verse 28, and He says this. After the people say that, and Moses said, he said, "The Lord heard your voice when you said to the Lord, I have heard the voice of the..." The Lord heard the voice of your words when you said to me, and the Lord said, I have heard their voices. They have done well in what they have said about me. So what he was saying was that I hear what you're saying, and I like what you're saying. You're saying that I'm going to do everything, man, that you tell me to do. They have done well. And then God says this. He said, "Oh, that they would have such a heart in them, so that they may fear me and keep all of my commandments always, so that it may go well with them and with their sons forever." So I told Woody, I said, my favorite word in the Bible is in that passage. Who can guess what that was? And some people know it. So he said, "Oh, that they would have such a heart in them, that they would fear me always and keep my commandments always, so that it may be well with them and their sons forever." This is God speaking here. What? No.
Oh.
Correct. Debbie Palumbo knows it, man, because she is my wife.
What is the question?
So in the NIV version, in the New American Standard, in the New Living Translation, like they're all different, right? But there's one word that's the same in each translation. It's not put out. Like that word, "oh." God says this, he says, oh, that they would have such a heart in them that they would fear me always and keep my commandments so that it would go well with them and their kids. Like, have you ever had a good meal, like a great meal or something, or have you ever watched a movie that just blew your mind and you go and tell your friends, you know, you got to see this movie, oh my God, it's the best movie, or you gotta come to this restaurant, it's unbelievable, oh my God, you're never gonna, you know, have you ever been so excited, man, that you were like, oh man, you know, we really gotta try this? Like, that's the language that God is using. He said, oh, like this ache of the heart. Like, how real is that to you? Like, is that real to you? Like, have you ever heard God say, oh my God, if Chaz only knew how much, oh my God, Maggie, if you only knew how much I care for you and love you and the purposes I have for your life and the way that your life can be turned upside down if you follow me. Oh, if you only knew, Debbie, what it could affect your life and your kid's life forever. Oh my God. Oh, that word, it denotes such a longing, such a desire. Like, do you know that word, oh? Has God ever said that to you? Like, have you ever experienced that longing in God's heart? Oh, Stu only know. Oh my God, how much I love him. Like, maybe Paul was able to say, you know, I've been crucified with. I mean, how does a murderer, people who murdered people, get to the point where their lives are so revolutionized and changed, you know, and transformed? Maybe it's because they know they have been touched by the utter longing of God to just, you know, how deeply He loves you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how real is God to you? How seriously? I mean, how? Debbie said to me yesterday. So I was going through something, and Debbie turned to me and said, "God is real. Like, this is so real to me." You know, like that's a simple thought, but how real is all this to you? Like, is it just a nice thing? Or, you know, like, is it just a nice thought? Is it just an hour in a week? Is it just a, you know, okay, that's nice that Tony feels that way, but I'm going after here, and I'm gonna live my life on a block, man, and you don't know what is freaking life on a block, or I have this, you know, I got this addiction, man, and you don't know what it's like, or I got this or that. I mean, how real is this to you? You know? I mean, you know, I think dependent, I think that I think our lives are going to be realigned and redirected according to how real Jesus is to us. I mean, you know, Sheena brought some flowers here this morning outside, and they're real flowers. We have flowers at our house, and some of them are artificial and fake. You know, it's like, no, seriously. How? I mean, ask yourself that question. I mean, how real is everything I'm saying? How real is everything that you have been told about Jesus? Or, I mean, is it real or not? I mean, can you like an apple? Can you grab it and take a bite of it, or is it an artificial apple inside of a bowl? You know what I'm saying, man? I mean, what is it? I mean, you know how many people I meet who yes me and like what I have to say and maybe think I say it in you know, kind of a neat way, and then I find out that they're dead 2 weeks later from this or that. I just the only thing I know is this, right? So are we going to allow circumstances and feelings and opinions to dictate our lives, or are we going to have our lives dictated by our faith in Jesus Christ? I mean, you know, and for those who choose, you know, faith, they choose it, man, because it's real to them. I don't know, you know. I mean, I don't have all the answers. But I do know that whatever we are dealing with in our lives, it doesn't have to be our end game. You know? It doesn't have to be our end game. And I do know that, you know, it's like kickball, man. Everyone here has played kickball in, you know, in the streets or whatever. And there ain't no do-overs in life. Ain't no do-overs. You get one shot. And maybe, man, you're good for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Guess what? Everyone's got a death day. And when that comes calling for you, ain't no do-overs. And God said, oh, if they would only know how crazy I am about them, so that it would go well for them. But it, you know, it's like I was talking, man, to my friend here this morning, my friend Stu, and you know, I mean, we were like, I mean, you know, he's had his ups and downs for years, you know, drugs and addictions, and I've had my ups and downs with other things in my life, you know, and it's like, you know, I just don't see how the Christian faith, how this Christian life works unless it's an all or nothing kind of a concept. I just don't think it works. I don't think lives are transformed. I don't think people are changed. You know, people don't. It's hard for people. Most people don't change. It's hard. You get into ruts, you get into habits, you were born a certain way, you got certain tendencies, you come from a certain family, you go in jail for years, that doesn't mess with you. It's hard for people to change. It's hard. Abstract poverty, whatever the situation is, you know? Whatever it is. Prejudice, you know, it could be anything. So, the ticket out is just this. Okay, here you go. Whatever I have, here you go, Jesus. It's this all or nothing kind of a, okay, I'll die to myself. Help me do that. You know, when are we going to stop trying harder and start dying to ourselves? The Bible never says to try harder. Never says to try harder. It says to die, not try. So the goal is to be crucified and to allow Jesus to live his life in and through us. But you really only allow that to happen when it's real to you. When it's not an artificial apple or, you know, fake plant or flower. When it's a real whatever Sheena brought outside. When this is real. You know? And it only becomes real when you come across that word, oh, and believe it, that God so loved you, man, that he gave up his one and only son, that he's nuts about you,